From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
I'm Amanda Starantino. This Friday evening, Indiana is closing the week on another record high count of newly reported COVID-19 cases. Over 2,300 cases reported by the State Department of Health in its daily caseload. The state says 300 of those cases had been delayed in reporting because of a technical issue. Regardless, the state's overall 7-day positivity rate is up at 10.4%. It's been climbing in recent days. Indiana is fast approaching 150,000 cases of COVID-19 we've counted since the start of the pandemic. The state also reports 22 new deaths of people with the virus. Those took place over the course of roughly the past 10 days. To date, 3,654 Hoosiers have died with COVID-19. And the Colts were on the practice field this afternoon, but not before some COVID-19 concerns of their own. The team closed its facility this morning after 4 people within the organization tested positive. But a few hours later, the team announced that retesting on those 4 came back negative. That allowed the team to get back to work. Here's Colts head coach Frank Reich talking about his 5 a.m. phone call from team general manager Chris Ballard.
Our conversation was, all right, Chris, you stay on point with the league. I'm going to just stay on point with the coaches and the players, getting the coaches ready. So really then my next calls were to the coordinators just to say, okay, let's plan on playing Sunday until we hear anything further. But then let's have plan B and C ready if we're playing Monday night, if we're playing Tuesday.
Later in the show, Brad Brown sets up Sunday's game between the Colts and the Bengals. WRTV Investigates has been following an issue impacting tens of thousands of Hoosiers. As many people have lost jobs and sources of income, they are now at risk of losing their homes. Our Stephanie Wade first introduced us to people facing the threat of eviction earlier this week. Now we hear from the property owners impacted as well.
With thousands of people behind on rent because of COVID, landlords and property managers are now also behind on their mortgages, putting the very homes that renters live in at risk of foreclosure. What are the repercussions of all of this?
At the end of the day, we're going to get back into the 2008 housing debacle. I mean, it was tough.
The owner of Remax Realty Services, which manages about 50 properties for homeowners, says we could soon find ourselves in a housing crisis.
They keep coming to us saying, you've got to get that rent collected. And, we're going back to them saying, because of the moratorium, our hands are tied.
Chris SCHULHOF says since the CDC issued a national moratorium on evictions beginning September 4th, they're unable to do anything, while some tenants have just stopped paying rent.
To you, how do you see the CDC moratorium?
I think it's frustrating.
The landlord or homeowner out the cash they'd normally collect to pay for their mortgage.
What position is that putting landlords and property owners in?
That's the problem. Our hands are tied, so how's that rent going to be paid?
SCHULHOF says he's compassionate with renters and works with them.
Where we have had, for example, a tenant call me and say, look, I'm in the janitorial arena taking care of churches, and unfortunately the churches aren't having congregations, so therefore the churches are laying us off. In that case, I reached out actually to contacts within my sphere and found her opportunities.
So you're trying?
I'm trying to help, and she's very thankful.
But on the other hand,
we do have one tenant that has not lost their job, but took advantage of the system or has taken advantage of the system and stopped paying in February.
They're now taking that tenant to court next month.
Someone's got to pay.
Right.
Other landlords we've seen are trying to evict tenants not paying rent through what's called a holdover eviction.
There is a loophole, if you will, that's the holdover moratorium.
In the case where someone's lease has expired and the CDC moratorium no longer protects them.
Have you looked into that?
I have not.
As the federal protection expires come January, SCHULHOF fears
all of a sudden we're going to have foreclosures out there, and that's what I'm concerned about.
Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
And this property manager, like the Indiana Apartment Association, is calling on the government to issue more rental assistance or perhaps loans to landlords to get through this. And if not, they both fear landlords will be forced to foreclose on their properties. This week, Marion County Health Director Virginia Kane credited colleges with keeping people between 18 and 24 years old safe from the spread of COVID-19. WRTV's Cameron Riddle caught up with some students who say their peers are on board with safety measures.
The news from Dr. Virginia Kane that COVID cases are trending downward with college-aged Marion County residents is not a surprise to some students at IUPUI. They say students and staff have been putting in the effort to keep COVID away.
Our campus also does mitigation testing, so we all get randomly, so if we get selected, we get tested. We also have contact tracing in the classroom.
Numbers from the Marion County Health Department show a rise in COVID cases at the start of the school year in August. But those numbers dropped after calls for college students to take the pandemic seriously. Tyler Clark says he and his classmates heard that call loud and clear.
Yeah, I think we all enjoy learning in person. So I think we all took it as an initiative to come back to campus. We all enjoy being with each other. Being online was a culture shock for a lot of us. So I think we all took the necessary steps to come back to campus.
One of those steps is wearing face masks. Maggie Nuetti says faculty and students at IUPUI, at least, are following the doctor's orders.
In fact, today in class, a student took off her mask for like 5 seconds to take a drink of water, and the professor immediately got on it and said, don't forget, keep your mask on.
If you ask Maddie Broyles, the new rules of the pandemic, which may seem like a hassle, are actually useful.
I really like how they're doing like the seating. Everybody stays at like those assigned seats, every single class, and they also use that to track everybody just in case someone does have contact anybody that has COVID-19.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
Despite the decreases among college-aged residents, people between 20 and 39 years old make up 45% of Marion County's COVID-19 cases. Kevin, it's a chilly one today.
It's been chilly all day. One more cold night. Let me show you something that's making me a little nervous. This cloud bank here, not going to lead toward much, but you see the increase in the clouds from the west. If we look into the clouds, it will show a couple of sprinkles. I'll show you that in a second. There are your temperatures. They've recovered into the 50s. They're starting their downward trend. You look at the radar and you say, okay, it might be raining in a few spots, but the air's incredibly dry. The dew point temperatures are in the 20s, while the actual air temperature is in the 50s. So the likelihood of more than a sprinkle reaching the ground is low. The likelihood of getting into the lower 30s is quite high, in that 2 a.m. to 9 a.m. range. I think by 9 a.m. we'll start to turn it around, and our frost freeze conditions in the morning hours will be starting to lift, and we'll start to warm up. It's eastern Indiana, east of Indianapolis, where freeze conditions are most likely. That's not in the forecast for the next 7 days, though, as we start to warm up. When is rain in the forecast? I'll show you shortly.
It's a safe space where you can get the job done. Still ahead on WRTV, a local effort to put community into the workplace and how it's adapting to the age we're living in right now. The game is on. WRTV Sports' Brad Brown brings together some of the pieces of the puzzle in Sunday's game between the Colts and the Bengals. It's a little later this half hour on WRTV. People are working together to make it through and bounce back from the impacts of the pandemic. And that's the key to the rebound Indiana. The Indy Black Chamber of Commerce just opened up a new co-working space downtown called Chamber 465. WRTV's Megan Sanctorum found out how it is already helping business owners.
All set up with her laptop, paperwork, and phone. Small business owner Carla Nolan is ready to work. She runs Angels of Hope Home Care Agency, and she's managed to grow her business even during a pandemic.
I don't know how I'm doing it, but I'm doing it because it's my passion.
Now she's hoping to increase the number of people she's able to help through her business as she uses this space as a new office.
I've met so many people since I've been here. So I believe networking is a big part of, just like marketing and networking is a big part of it.
In addition to networking and providing all the office tools business owners need, like Wi-Fi and printers, they also plan to host classes and workshops.
This is an opportunity for all minority businesses, all businesses, period, to come together to find the resources that they need and the support that they need, especially during COVID, We're losing so many businesses.
Leaders with the chamber say while opening a co-working space during a pandemic may seem odd, they're taking extra measures to keep people safe, like adding these partitions between work areas. And they say the benefits of a spot like this are needed more now than ever.
Sometimes when you have a small business, you feel alone when you're doing your work. You feel like nobody understands your plight. This is a way for you to come together, share the issues that you have, and there'll be people here that may be able to resolve some of your problems.
Nolan says it's an affordable option and the benefits are worth every penny.
Everyone is kind of, pulling out all their financial resources that they can. So to be able to have this small amount doesn't even compare to the networking and the people that you'll see and all of the rooms, the usage.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
And the Indy Black Chamber is offering these workstations to business owners for free until the end of the year. Indiana is being put on travel advisories by its neighbors. Coming up, the WRTV insiders talk about what enforcement looks like on quarantines when leaving for other states.
Rain chances will increase late in the weekend. I'll define late. We'll talk about the overall temperature trend ahead.
Welcome back. The city of Chicago and the state of Ohio have put Indiana on a travel advisory list, and there may be confusion over the pending plan to require you to quarantine in Chicago if you plan to visit the Windy Cities. WRTV's political insiders say this will be tough to enforce.
I want to ask you about the city of Chicago now asking Hoosiers to enter their city beginning Friday to quarantine. What does that say about us, and what does it say about what Chicago is now doing?
It's largely symbolic, but the symbolism is striking. All we've heard from Republicans in this state for the last 12 years, 14, 16 years is how much better Indiana is than Illinois on all these metrics. And now Illinois is saying, you guys can't control your virus. You can't control things. We don't want you coming into our state. And it's the same thing that's happening on the national level. Americans are not allowed to travel to Europe. They're not allowed to travel about anywhere else in the world because we're not being responsible.
Mayor Lightfoot is one of the least effective mayors in the country and has just allowed her city to run rampant over the last several months since the end of May. So I'm not necessarily encouraged by her leadership and the leadership of her state, but certainly there's some symbolic, some symbolism that goes along with this, that Hoosiers have got to take this seriously.
People travel over the holidays. People want to be with their family members and their loved ones. And I would not be surprised to see more of these type of recommendations that are coming out to people.
Can this really be enforced as people really, it's the big city, right? People travel to it all the time.
I grew up in Northwest Indiana. It's completely unenforceable. People travel all across, but at the same time, if I'm sitting in Chicago, I understand why she's saying it. You've got Wisconsin north of you that has a similar relationship, frankly, near the state line. And so you want to try to protect people. Wisconsin's skyrocketing. Our numbers are going up. And so, I appreciate that the governor wasn't flippant about it. And I've appreciated his leadership on this, particularly in the spring. I was really proud of him. I just think that now we've got to clamp back down, and nobody wants to do it, but it's what has to happen.
These are our political insiders. We thank them a great deal. And our coverage of Democracy 2020 continues right now on WRTV.
Sun has gone down, city lights coming up. As you look to the west, you can still see the orange glow on the horizon and the bank of clouds that we talked about that's rolled in. Maybe a sprinkle or two, but seems unlikely due to how dry it is. Let me know if you happen to get a sprinkle or two, though. Temperature 47 in Peru right now, 48 in Richmond. Otherwise, temperatures as warm as 58 in Terre Haute. Indianapolis, 6 degrees cooler than that. The story tonight remains cold temperatures. Frost advisory, freeze warning for eastern Indiana, 31 in Marion, 32 in Anderson and Muncie in the morning. Anywhere from Newcastle to Richmond and Shelbyville, Connorsville. Rushville should be around the freezing mark or a little below. Western Indiana just a little above the freezing mark. But for the next 7 days, at least after tomorrow morning, low temperatures will be much warmer. Headlines for your Saturday. The gusts will reach 30 miles per hour or stronger. they're out of a warm direction. That'll draw temperatures into the 60s. We'll see a mixture of clouds and sunshine and a few more clouds as we go later in the day. Both Saturday and Sunday have the same high temperature. The difference on Sunday, the rain chances increase late, and I think we'll have more cloud cover. Wind is also a big difference between the 2 days. The strong south-southwest wind through the day Saturday will be a challenge if you're trying to rake leaves, as they'll be on the move. You'll have to go catch them first before you can round them up. As far as our Saturday temperatures, we'll turn the corner after 9 o'clock. That's when I think we'll start moving into the 40s by 10. And early afternoon temperatures quickly move into the upper 50s and then lower 60s. Sunday, cloudy day, especially the afternoon hours. Temperatures again in the mid 60s. Some spots to the south and west may be a little warmer than that. Dry in the morning, dry in the afternoon. It's Sunday evening where the rain chances increase from 9 to 11. As far as our rainfall potential, could see 1/4 inch. Monday, rain likely, 57 degrees. That's the cooler temperature of the week. Then we're back to 62 Tuesday, 68 for the high on Wednesday. 7-day forecast, put it together for you. The weekend, again, windy and dry tomorrow. Chance of rain really Sunday night. Monday, still some rain around 57. Then notice how temperatures do stabilize. Overnight lows back into the mid 50s. Temperature as warm as 73 next Thursday. We'll be back with more news right after this.
The Colts will move ahead to this Sunday's game against the Bengals. Brad Brown has a look at the key pieces for Week 6 at home.
After the Colts' first loss this season, they bounced back with 3 pretty impressive wins. So what should we expect after Sunday's disappointment in Cleveland?
We just got to be locked in on all 3 phases, each and every down, and we'll be all right. Once we come together as a team and understand that, plays are won and lost off certain mistakes. So we'll be all right.
You just want to get back out there and bounce back as soon as you can. Certainly disappointing loss.
Phillip Rivers' interception and fourth-quarter safety certainly did not help the Colts' efforts, but don't expect the NFL vet to get rattled by one bad game.
You're the same guy, whether you play really good or play really bad. So have gotten better at handling that. I also think that can help in some ways, from a leadership standpoint, can help the other guys.
It was a tale of 2 halves for the Colts defense against the Browns. After giving up 20 points before halftime, that unit settled down for the final 2 quarters.
There's opportunities that we miss. All the time is crazy. We think we're good, but we can be even better. Just watching the opportunities that we simply just, we missed the layups. And we got to make sure we finish those. And when we're finishing those, that's when we can be really dominant.
Another rookie stepped up last Sunday for the Colts. Isaiah Rodgers' 101-yard kick return for a touchdown started the Colts' third-quarter resurgence. A big moment as he's coming back from a training camp injury.
After I got the first game under the belt, I actually told a few people back home, I feel like this is going to be the one. This is going to be the game. I got my feet wet last week, and, I feel like I'm back to who I am.
The Colts get their bye week after this game, but that time off won't feel quite as nice without a win to leave on.
We talk to every player at every position. There's a discipline to putting the last game behind you, whether you played lights out or whether you didn't play lights out. So not riding the wave of results.
The Colts' schedule ramps up after the bye. November includes a visit from the Baltimore Ravens, a Thursday night game in Tennessee, and another against the Titans to close out the month. The Packers come to Indy right before Thanksgiving. 3 of the best teams in the league right now, looming large down the road. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
I showed you the cloud cover a little bit earlier. There are a couple of sprinkles out there, just heard from a viewer in Lebanon, so nothing more than that expected, and going dark as we look to the west. I always love that, Amanda. You can see those stadium lights there from the IUPUI track and field complex as the city lights come up. Have a good weekend.
It looks great out there. Thanks for making WRTV your choice for news. Our next newscast is tonight at 11.